Alright, what's going on, boys and girls? I'm actually very excited to make this video right now because in front of me I have my brand new camera, so I'm not going to waste any more time filming with the camera I have right now. Let's make the switch. And just like that, boys and girls, we have the brand new camera on the tripod. So I hope you guys can tell the difference from my old camera to my new one. I'm very happy with how it looks. Hopefully the background looks a little bit more blurred, and if I move my face side to side, the autofocus tracks my face. I never had that before, so I'm very happy with this investment. I'm not going to go into details and specifications of the camera because I'm sure most of you aren't interested. But if you are interested in that, be sure to leave a comment down below, or you can follow me on Instagram, drop me a DM. I'd be happy to have a discussion with you guys about the camera and my thoughts and opinions on it. But yeah, boys and girls, without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. And this is 5 essential tips for bulking, mainly aiming at skinny guys, but obviously this can apply to anyone. I feel like I am fairly qualified to give advice on this subject. If you look at my before pictures, which I'll throw on screen now, you know, I was about 40 kilograms lighter than I am now, and I've got to the position I am in today. I'm not saying I'm massive by any means at all, but you know, I put on a lot of weight, a lot of muscle, and I'm very happy with my progress, and I want to pass on all the information I possibly can to get you guys to your results as quick as possible. Because I know I've made so many mistakes in the past, and I just don't want you guys to make the same mistakes I did, because some of them are going to really hinder your progress, and I don't want that happening to any of you. But yeah, I actually already made a video about how I personally went from being skinny to not so skinny. If you haven't seen that, I'll throw it just up there now. And I also saw another YouTuber called Joe Faze, you guys probably know of him. He posted a video about this recently, and I feel like I could add a lot of value to what he was saying. I could really go into more detail about some of the things he was saying, and also I can add a few more tips as well that I've personally experienced. But anyway, let's not waste any more time, let's get straight into this video. So the very first point I have for you guys is leave your ego at the door. You guys probably heard this hundreds of times before by these massive big bodybuilders, but just hear me out, listen to what I have to say. It would literally be my first few months in the gym when I'd walk up to the dumbbell rack, go for the 15, 20, maybe even higher kilogram dumbbell, and I start throwing it around, literally using as much momentum as I can, and it is just so counterproductive. Take your time to choose a lower weight and really understand the form of the exercise. Not only is this so much safer, but it's so much more beneficial as well. Take a lower weight and really practice the form and understand the movement. Make sure you're stretching, contracting the muscle effectively. So yeah, I feel like this point is pretty self-explanatory, but don't go into the gym with your ego, leave it at the door. I know it's going to be a little bit hard hitting for some of you guys. If you want to lift more weight in the long run, you just want to be healthier in general, just go with the form of lightweight. Don't rush into anything with a heavy weight. But let's go on to point number 2, and that is stop training a bro split. Now, a bro split comes in many different forms, but essentially it is just training one muscle group every day. For example, Monday chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday legs, Thursday shoulders. Just don't do it, it's so ineffective, and let me explain why. Muscles take between 48 to 72 hours to recover. That's just the scientific facts, it's the literature, it is the research, and it has been proven. So you do not need to train one muscle part per week and wait a whole week for it to come around to train it again. It is so counterproductive. You can literally get double the amount of results training a muscle group twice a week as you can once a week. It literally seems stupid not to. So yeah, while bro splits are fun and it can be fun to absolutely obliterate a muscle, I've been there, we've all done it, trust me. It is so much more beneficial to run a program where you're training each muscle minimum twice a week. For example, a very popular one, and one that I tend to use a lot, is push-pull legs. So all your pushing movements, all your pulling movements, and legs, and rest, and then do it again. That way you're hitting each muscle twice a week. So if you're still running a bro split program, or you plan on running one when the gym is reopen, I highly recommend you stop and just do a little bit of research into other programs like push-pull legs, the upper-lower split, pretty much anything other than bro split if you guys really want to optimize your gains. Alright, so that's training out of the way, now let's talk diet. And without being blunt, you guys just probably aren't eating enough. I know you hate to hear it, but it is just the truth in the majority of cases. I can't even begin to tell you guys how many of my mates have come up to me saying, oh, how'd you get to the position I'm in? I've said, oh, well, I'm eating a lot of food, I'm eating in caloric maintenance. And they're like, oh, but I eat loads of food, way more than the average person should. I eat like triple, quadruple the amount the average person should. Like, I should be massive by now. I'm like, no, you think you're eating a lot, but you really aren't. You need to be eating a lot more than you think you are. To gain muscle effectively, you need to be eating something called a caloric surplus. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because I spoke a lot about it in my last video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out, I'll leave a link in the description. But essentially what you need to do is work out your caloric maintenance, how many calories you need to maintain your body weight, and then you need to eat more than that so you're in a surplus. It's very simple, guys. It's calorie consumption over calories burned. You need to be consuming more calories than your body is burning. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend you guys try and work out your caloric maintenance. I'll leave a website where you can do that down below. Bulking is eating in a caloric surplus, so you are gaining weight. So hopefully that has encouraged you guys to try and make sure you're eating at your caloric maintenance or higher. There's actually no better time to do it being in lockdown now, so you might as well experiment. See how much food you actually need to intake to maintain your body weight. Try weighing yourself at the start of the week, eating consistently the same amount of calories every day, and then weighing yourself at the end of the week. See if you've gained or lost weight, and that's essentially how you work out your caloric maintenance. Alright, up next. Oh yeah. Food before supplements. I cannot express how frustrating this one is. So many influencers out there, and not just influencers but companies, well, they will try and sell you products and they will advertise it that it is guaranteed to increase your muscle mass and guaranteed to make you bigger. People need to realise it is a supplement. It's literally in the name. It supplements your diet. It's not used to replace food. It's used to be taken alongside food. So let's take protein, for example. It's a very simple supplement, probably the most used throughout everyone. Let's say if my goal is to hit 200 grams of protein per day. So what I personally do is I'll get as many grams of protein in as I can through food throughout the whole day. I get to the end of the day and I'm stuck at 180 grams. Let's say like I'm quite full from my food, but I still need to get that extra 20 grams of protein for optimal protein intake. What I can do is just have a little protein shake because it won't feel like I'm eating a load of food, and I can just get that down to meet the rest of my protein requirements. It does not mean having 4 protein shakes a day alongside every meal as your main source of protein. That is just not how to do it. So yeah, I feel like I kind of got my point across here already. So make sure you prioritize your food, your diet over supplementation. Don't get me wrong, some supplements like creatine monohydrate can work really nicely alongside your diet, but never ever choose supplements over your diet. Make sure your diet is immaculate first, then start considering supplements. Alright, so I know I said the last tip frustrates me a lot, but I changed my mind. This frustrates me more than anything, and it is people cutting when they don't need to. Stop cutting. You do not need to cut. I promise you, if you come from a skinny background, you do not need to cut. This is so easy to fall into the trap to. I fell into it countless times. So many people have fallen into it, and it is just so counterproductive, and let me explain why. So you just start going to the gym, you notice you actually start to put on a bit of size, and you're putting on a little bit, a tiny bit of excess fat from where you're having the added extra calories that your body's not really used to. You're there and you see your abs slowly start to fade. You mean the line starts to fade ever so slightly. That's it. I've got to cut now. Can't continue bulking. My abs need to be popping at all times. So you spend the next 3 months cutting at a low calorie intake. You have just wasted 3 months of your life you could be using to gain muscle. Why would you do that? I understand if you want to look aesthetic, you want to look good, you want to look lean, especially in the summertime. But you have to think of the bigger picture. You have to think long term, and you are wasting so much valuable time by cutting, because it is near impossible to put on muscle mass when you're in a deficit, unless you're taking enhancements, but hopefully you guys aren't doing that. So what I'm trying to say is, see the bigger picture. You do not need to cut. Obviously, if you're coming from the other side of the spectrum and you want to lose a considerable amount of body fat, yes, I understand that. You might want to consider eating at just below maintenance. You can at least attempt to try and build muscle whilst losing body fat. But again, this video is specifically aiming more towards skinny guys. And I assume you're probably skinny or have come from a skinny background if you're watching this video. So you need to stop cutting. You should only really cut when you are happy and you are satisfied with the amount of muscle mass you have on your frame. So yeah, if you're just starting out, you're in your first year to 2 years of lifting, and you're starting to see a little bit of added body fat, it's making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, your abs are starting to go, just please keep bulking. You will thank me and you will thank yourself so much in the future. And if you are gaining body fat a little bit too quickly, just drop the calories down. Eat it just above maintenance. I'm not saying go 1,000, 2,000 calories above maintenance. Sit just about 100, 200 calories above your maintenance, so you're gaining weight but very slowly. If you're eating just above your maintenance so you're still bulking, you will put on body fat a lot slower than if you're in a huge surplus. Alright, so that's the main advice I have to give, but because I'm a really nice guy, I'm going to add a few bonus tips in there as well. So the first one being deload every so often. So I'll try to give a brief explanation of what a deload is and when to use it effectively if you guys haven't heard it before. But essentially, when you're in the gym, when you're running a program, you want to be applying the principle of progressive overload. And progressive overload is where you increase the overall volume each week. So for example, you could be doing 3 sets of 5 reps on 80 kilograms on squats. So next week you want to be doing 4 sets of 5 reps on 80 kilograms. Then the week after you want to do 5 sets of 5 reps on 80 kilograms on the squat. This is called linear progressive overload, and it is the main way to put on size and put on muscle effectively in the gym, because you're forcing the muscle to adapt to a stronger new stimulus, therefore it has to grow and become bigger and therefore stronger. But however, you cannot continually progressive overload forever. Unfortunately, it's going to get to the point where you're going to eventually overreach, and if continued, you might even overtrain. So if you are consistently progressive overloading in the gym week by week, you're going to get to a point where you might start to plateau. You're going to see that the weight isn't going to keep going up. You're not going to be able to keep adding sets and reps each week because your body just won't be able to adapt to it. So what you need to do at that point to avoid overreaching is a deload. Deload should be done anywhere from 4, 6 to 8 weeks. It can really change depending on your style of training. If you're powerlifting, you might want to deload more often because you're lifting heavier weights. It can really change around how your training is and what your goals are. But essentially, a deload is just an easy week in the gym. I say easy, it's more of a light week in the gym. So for example, what I do with my deloads, so I'll take the last week, my highest volume week of my program, and I'll cut the volume in half. So let's say, for example, on the last week of my program, I did a 5x5 on 100 kilograms on bench press. On my deload, I'm going to cut the volume in half. So I'm going to either drop the sets, drop the weight, drop the reps. What I tend to do is drop the sets. So I'm just going to do 2, maybe 3 maximum sets of 5 on 100 kilograms. So without going into too much detail, essentially what this does is it drops the accumulated fatigue you have built up over time. So if you have consistently progressive overloaded over time, you're going to build up fatigue. Fatigue will carry across week by week, even if you don't feel it, it is there. And when that fatigue becomes too much and too noticeable, you need to deload. So yeah, the purpose of the deload is to drop the built up fatigue over time. So when you rotate back round to week 1 again, you're going to be feeling a lot fresh, a lot stronger, and a lot more recovered. So I hope that kind of explained deloading. If you want to know more information about that, again, just drop a comment down below or drop me a DM on Instagram. I'll be happy to help you guys out. Of course, there are lots of other videos on YouTube as well about deloading if you want more detail. Alright boys and girls, so that brings me on to my very last bonus tip of the video. And this is just something I wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self when I first started lifting. And that is to understand and come to terms with the fact that some people just are going to be genetically more blessed to putting on muscle than you. It just is as simple as that. Some people just are genetically more able to put on muscle mass. And it doesn't mean you can't put on muscle mass, it just means they might do it a little bit quicker. So I'll quickly talk about how this affected me when I first started training. Essentially because I was really skinny and really tall, the actual length of my muscles was bigger than the average person. This means it's going to take me a lot longer to fill the muscle out than someone who is shorter. Therefore, you could say I'm not genetically blessed to build muscle and to be a bodybuilder. However, that does not mean you cannot do it. All it means is it might take you a little bit longer like it did for me. I've been training for 4 years, and there's some people who've been training for 4 years who look incredible, so much better than I do. But it just is how it is, and you just got to come to terms with that. The advantage I do have, however, is that because I have a bigger skeleton, a bigger frame, and my muscle insertion's origin is actually longer, it means that when I eventually do fill out my frame, I'm going to look bigger than these people because I have more muscle building potential. I have the physical ability to put on more muscle mass than someone who is shorter than me. The only downside is that might take a very long time. But yeah, it goes back to what I said at the end of my last video, and essentially you can either sit there and, you know, be bummed out, be upset, angry about your body, your genetics, about all the things you don't have, or you can sit there, you can look at yourself and be like, okay, what have I got? What can I do? So much of it is just mentality, and it's not always about how strong you are physically, but how strong you are mentally. And that is why when you first start going to the gym, it can be very difficult to stay consistent and stay at it. But yeah, I promise you guys, it is worth it. Fitness has changed my life in so many ways. I feel so much better and more confident as a person now, and it's just made me so much happier in general. So yeah, boys and girls, I think I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It means the absolute world to me. And if you haven't already, feel free to drop a subscribe if you want to watch some of my other videos. I'm posting quite a lot at the moment, so hopefully some of my videos could be valuable to you as well. Also, don't forget to share the video with any of your mates if you think it might help them too. But yeah, with that being said, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.